For joining us. Not too much happening, right?
No, it's quiet time.
Quiet time, right? It has really been ramping up. What's been interesting to you standing up before we get dig into the details here?
Well, I think this year it's the intensity of the focus on the swing states. That was just in the package. Pennsylvania with 19 electoral college votes. The 7 swing states are so critically important, and yet in the polling they are so dramatically close. And those 7 swing states are representing 93 electoral college votes. So that's why Kamala Harris is in Pennsylvania and Donald Trump's in Georgia.
Have you seen it at this level before, this close before, when you have the polling so close and the campaign like this? I don't recall it being, at this level in recent history here. What are your thoughts?
I think you're right about that. It's been a few years. The 2000 election between Al Gore and George W. Bush was razor thin, obviously coming down to Florida in that year. I'm thinking that this is going to be the same kind of race on election night. These elections in each of the states, and that's what's important for viewers to keep in mind, is this is coming down to very few states. And because the rest of the nation either breaks blue or breaks red, and that's where we're at.
So do you think on election night the focus is going to be on these key states here, this Pennsylvania, this Wisconsin, these Michigans? Those are what we're going to be watching very closely, and that could that conceivably last into the night? I mean, hopefully not hanging Chad, but what are you thinking?
We don't want any more hanging chads.
Oh, please, yeah.
But I don't know that at the end of the day we're going to know early on that evening, on November 5th, who's been elected. I think it's going to be so close that it's going to take a while to sort out. We'll have a leaning. We'll have a good feeling, perhaps, who is going to be the next president. But if it's within a margin of error, you're going to have both sides, depending on who loses, complaining, and all of that.
Yeah. The usual thing that we saw last time. All right, let's go to this now. More Republicans appear to be voting early, and historically, this is territory where the Democrats have seen voter turnout historically early here. So does this kind of throw another wrench into kind of predicting what could happen in this race here? Because before, when you had all these early voting numbers, you had the numbers coming in, you could say, well, confidently say a percentage of them are Democrat. But now we don't know, because this is kind of uncharted territory when you have so many Republicans voting early.
Well, great observation and question. And yes, the Republicans are voting earlier this year, or so it appears. And that's typically, as you mentioned, been the stronghold of Democrats. But, this year is so anomalous. It's razor thin. It's coming down to very few states. Clearly, a lot of people in the United States are not thrilled with either candidate on some levels. And so this is a different kind of election. But, we will, as a country, sort it out, and we'll know pretty soon who the president is. But between now and November 5th, you're going to see these 2 candidates, all 4 actually, bouncing around the country among these swing states, and that is going to be very prevalent each and every day.
Brian, on the Democratic side, abortion rights, gender issues are a big thing that they're using on their side to get the upper hand on Republicans. Republicans on the other side, they see immigration as their issue, top issue that they can use to defeat the Democrats here. Are those issues still top of mind from both parties here?
With one exception, the economy always looms large in presidential elections. And if you go back to the election actually of Bill Clinton, a real underdog against George Herbert Walker Bush, he won on the economy even as George Herbert Walker Bush was enjoying approval ratings in the high 80 and 90%. And so economy always leads. How do I feel I'm doing in terms of staying up with the economy? Can I find gas prices that are acceptable, groceries, all those sorts of things? Economy always leads the way in the United States elections, and it will again this year.
But the message, we're out of time, but the message, though, because one could argue, the Dow's up, prices are still up. That's still also debatable depending on, what side you fall on. All right, Brian, we'll check in with you again here because we still have several more days and it's going to be
Yes,
a really
indeed.
jam-packed one. Brian Sobel, political analyst for KTVU, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're
We appreciate
very
it.
welcome, Andre. Good seeing you.
All right, good seeing you as well. All right, we have much more election coverage on our website.